Right, in this video, as promised, we are going to have a look at the new Defender online information via the Jaguar Land Rover eCat. So this is the electronics part catalogue for Jaguar Land Rover that we have access to here. We pay for this every year. And I noticed the other day they've put the Defender on there. So we can actually go into this and have a little smooch about. So we're going to have a bit of an in-depth study. We're going to dive into the new Defender here. We're going to look around some parts diagrams. We're going to look at some accessories, the brakes, the different brake options, the different accessory options, the ladders, the roof rack, the wheels. We're going to have a look what wheels we can get for it. We've got a new Defender on order. I've got a fairly basic one. I can't even remember. It was so long ago I ordered it. But we're going to look at the audio system. What can we do? And we're going to try and see what parts they're using from other Land Rover Jaguar vehicles, so we can get an idea about what we can upgrade and stuff. So let's dive in and have a look. This is going to be a bit geeky, a bit in-depth. I don't think there's going to be much banter in this one, but you are spared my knitwear and my ever-worsening hairstyle. Right, let's dive in. Right, so we can go in, and if I enter a chassis number, I can look at a particular build, but I just want to look at all the information. Now, we've got along the top here, we've got the various engines. Now, I'm not too worried about looking at the engines. It's not my bag, and most of the engines will be brought over from other models anyway. So what we can do is accessories. Let's dive in the accessories first. So the first page here is all the badges and lettering. So let's have a look what lettering options they've got. So we can see here, this is the front lettering. It'll be interesting to see what colour options they offer that in. So we can see already that they're offering it in silver satin, Narvik black, and what's this say? Just starlight satin. Oh, how romantic. Look at that. And you can see the various prices. So I'm guessing the starlight satin is the most expensive one there. I'm guessing that's saved for the posher model. So already now we know we've got 3 types of bonnet. So if you've got one, when you get one, you could change your lettering. We'll make a little template. What's this little badge here? Is this the first edition? We've got a little nameplate on the door. I think I saw that at the show. And it says Badge X. There we go. They only got the one, yeah. So this is call out ending in 09A. We only got one, and it just says Badge X. So there you go, Badge X. There's quantity 2 on a vehicle there, so we've got 1 on each side, and they're £62. Not sure what that is. This is obviously the front badge. I expect there'll just be one option for that. What have we got? Less intelligent, speed braking, nameplate. Interesting there. They've got a couple. Right, anyway, we're getting a bit distracted. Let's go on to, if I go on here, I can go to the next page. So we can jump straight on. Now this is interesting. So I can zoom in here a bit and have a look in more detail. There we go. So this is the Defender first edition badge that goes on the back there. But then there's clearly other options here. We've got the S, the SE, we've got the HSE down there as well. And then we've got these various options here. And these are the engine types, I think. If I move to hand, I can. So these are the different engine types. We've got D240 SE, D240 HSE. And then we've got the P400E, HSE, SE. So we can choose the various ones of those we want. And all these badges here are about the same price. So there you go. That gives you an indication of what you could do with your badging there. Let's see, what's the rear badge do? Has that got many options? No, that's just got the one option. And that looks like an older Land Rover part number. What you'll notice here is most of the genuine Defender stuff has this LR13 part number. If you see anything a lot different, it's probably used off another model carried forward. So we can start to see what things they've bought from other models. Right, we digress again. Let's get back into it. Now the rest of the nameplates I don't think are very interesting because they're just basically stickers. So let's see what other accessories we've got. I'm not so worried about the tools. Vehicle customization. Now, as I recall, this goes into the accessory pack. So they've got the Explorer pack here, the Adventurer pack here, and we keep getting messages, and we've got the county pack. Sorry, here we go. So an urban pack and interior protection. So let's just rattle through some of these quickly. Have a look. So these are what we saw at the show in Frankfurt. And basically here we've got the snorkel here. We've got the snorkel, we've got the spare wheel cover, we've got the roof rack. We've got, these are just graphics on the side, not graphics, but that's the body styling kit there on the side, sorry. We've got the bonnet decal here. I'm interested because I'm making that for the, we've made that for the new for the old Discovery 3 and 4. I've got to launch that. So we can see here that they're going to launch that at £80 plus VAT, so that'll be 96. But that's the anti-reflection. That's the one that's got the 110 or the 90 written on the front. So let's rattle through some of the other packs. So that's the adventure pack. Now this here is a compressor. This here is the shower that's supposed to enable you to, the wash off thing, to wash your boots or something off. This is interesting because this here is the box that goes on the side, that sticks out the side, the stowage box. This is quite interesting. And there we go, that's the price for that one. So that's going to be quite an expensive accessory, probably worth buying the whole adventure pack. Now interestingly, it doesn't show that you need the roof rack. I wondered if you needed the roof rack to have that, but not. Right, let's get on. Okay, so this is a rear tread plate, mud flaps, that's the wash off thing again. We've got a dog guard here. Right, and that's a more basic pack, the urban pack. We've got the spare wheel cover. We've got the alloy pedal covers. Now let's have a look at that. I have a feeling that these will be. Now this part number looks older, so what I can do with that is I can actually copy that part number there, and I can go back in and put that part number back in at the beginning and see what other. Right, so that's used across the big Range Rover L405, the Range Rover Sport and the new Defender. So I can see it's already using the same pedals. So our pedal kits we already do for the L405 will also fit the new Defender, which is quite cool. And then you've got your mats, which obviously will be unique. This is random. This just says storage box. I've got no idea. It looks like you put a dog or something in it. I've got no idea. It looks a bit small for that. Right, so there's the accessories and the various bits and pieces. Right, but let's go back to. So we've covered all of that. There's deployable side steps at the end here, and there's a sort of winch bumper here as well. Right, let's go and have a look. So that covers the accessories. There is another section with wheels in. They've only got one accessory wheel here, which is £595, 20 inch. But if I go to the standard section and look at we can see wheels there. There's some deployable tow bars, but let's get out of here. Let's go and have a look around some more. So if we look at the axles and the suspension, here we can dive into the wheels. So these are the wheel options that are going to be released with the new Defender. So you can see all of these. Now, if you look down here, you can see there's some 18-inch ones, 19-inch, 20-inch, and there's some 22-inch ones here. 22-inch. Interestingly, they got 22 by 9, and here they got 9 by 22. But I'm guessing they've got that the wrong way around. Look at that. Even Land Rover make mistakes. Right, and all these part numbers you'll notice are all 129, 130 something. So these are all new parts. But yeah, if you want those nice wheels, they're £744 each. So that's the various designs for the wheels. Right, let's go back and have a look what other things we've got on here. There's the spare wheel carrier. I mean, even things like the wheel centers and the wheel nuts, I had a look and they're copied across their existing part numbers. You can see here that these are older part numbers and they're used across multiple models. So there's still a lot of stuff coming across from the older models. I suspect the wheel fitment will be the same, as well as the L405 and the other Range Rovers. We've got the air suspension. You can see the axle parts. Now, I thought there was one of these models that was going to come out with here's the air suspension here, but if we have a look, this is just the pipe work. I thought there was one model with springs, and it shows a spring here, but this is saying front suspension, struts and springs with 4-corner air suspension. and that's with 4-corner air suspension, and this is with continuous variable damping. So I can't see the springs listed on this other than air springs. These all look like air springs to me. So that was slightly interesting. Right, let's go and have a look at some more stuff on this new Defender. So that's the axles and suspension. Body and chassis, we can obviously look at all the mirrors used, the mirror options. There's probably multiple mirror options. It looks like we've got a mirror indicator here. This is quite interesting. So this is, again, you'll see this isn't copied across from an Evoque or something, because it's got a 129 part number, so they're new. Be cool to make some maybe dynamic, if they're not dynamic, side repeaters. Here's the projector light under the mirror. Mirror caps, they may be available in different options, but it's just showing them primed there. There's no chromed one or black ones available. Let's get back and have a look here. What other interesting things have we got? So there's various bumpers. I don't think there's an SVR front bumper or anything. This is interesting. Is this a headlight guard? Because the headlights I saw at Frankfurt didn't have a cover over the front, and they didn't look aerodynamic to me. So what does that say? Less headlamp power wash. So it looks like there is a headlamp bezel or cover of some sort, which is interesting. Need to look at that. If they don't have a cover, it might be interesting to design one. So there's the components that make up the front bumper and the rear bumper. Now at the show I did see a tow hook, because they had these removable plates here, and they did have one with a tow hook, which was quite interesting. Maybe I missed that in accessories. We could pop back and have a look at that. Let's just go back and have a look at grills on that last one, see if there's any grill options. We all like a grill option. So the main front grill part seems to be this one here. What's it giving me? And it's just showing one option for the radiator grill. So regardless of what spec you buy, there's just one option there. So that's interesting. Right, where else can we dig around? Let's go have a look at braking. Braking was interesting. If we look at, so we've got the front discs here and the rear discs. So if we look, there's 3 options, and they've called them 18 RR18, front and rear 18 inch, which I think means for the 18 inch wheels. This looks like disc front and rear 19 inch, and this one front and rear 22 inch. So they're offering, now this brake is a more basic brake with the slider. So this is where you've got the floating piston, which I'm not a big fan of. So if I go, that's the 18. If I go to the next one, this is the 19, and you'll notice now they've got a solid caliper, not a floating caliper. So that will be quite an interesting upgrade. And also we can see the diameter of the disc. So on this one, the disc is 363 millimeters. On the previous one, I'll just go back. The disc here is 349. And if I go to the big one, let's have a look what the big bad boy is. This has got a different caliper here. This is the 20 inch one now. And this disc here is now the thing that's most interesting here is this part number, you'll notice, is an older part number. So if I get this part number, in fact I can just press this button here, copy, and let's put that back in up here and see that what part number that is. So that part number there is fitted to the big Range Rover L405, sorry, and the Sport 494, and look, it's fitted with the SVR. So this has got the big SVR brakes on it. So that's quite interesting. But that means if it's got the same brake disc, it must have the same stud pattern as the L405. So you must be able to use the L405 wheels, which opens up some interesting possibilities. And the Discovery 5 is the same, and the new Defender's at the bottom. So let me zip back to where I was. So we've already gained some interesting, I reckon I could fit the Brembo 6 pot. So when we get our Defender eventually, I think if we put big enough wheels on, we may be able to get the Brembo 6-pot calipers, but we'll have to have a look. Right, let's go back and have a look. So that's some brakes. Let's have a look at the rear. I think the story is much the same on the rear brakes. They've got 3 options for the 20, the 19 and the 18, and I think even then we'll probably find you've got the brake diameter, and the biggest brake disc is 380, and again this is a part number off the older L405. So there's already, we can see parts are being taken off the other. Oh, the other interesting thing about the rear brake I did notice was it's got the caliper with the electronic park brake on the back. So if we go back here, sorry, I'm jumping around, the parking brake, you'll notice that all models have the same parking brake actuator, and this is the electronic parking brake that is there's the motor actually sits behind the piston on the back of the caliper. You can see the caliper here. So you got no problems with the Disco 3s and 4s where your electronic parking brake starts squealing and going wrong. None of those problems at all, and I suspect looks like a slightly older part number. It may be off a different vehicle or not. Right, let's dive back and have a look what else. Again, I'm just jumping into things that interest me and just showing you what information we can find. So we've done brakes. Okay, so that's the body electrics. Let's have a look. What in body electrics, I was interested what the rear lights were. So, and the interior lights, I think. See if they're sharing. So there's the headlight there, and I expect there'll be multiple options for the headlight. Here we go. It's going to load. George must be watching the internet. Let's have a look. There we go. So there's the headlight, and again the headlight there looks like it's got a lens on the front now, which it didn't have. Oh, it's an inner lens. Okay, so it's an inner lens, but they didn't have anything over that outer pocket there. But yeah, that you can see the headlights are going to be expensive, like £1,600 each. Whoosh, that's steep. Let's have a look what else they've got. There's the fog lamp there. This again, it's interesting because that looks like a new part number. So the fog lamp, and it's the same left and right. When you see this, it's not handed, the fog light. So there's 2 of these. They're the same on the left and right. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. I don't even know if mine has got fog lamps. Now this looks like the ambient lighting. Yes, if you see here it says ambient and footwell lighting. So it's got all the ambient lighting, which is quite cool. Be interesting to look at that. And then we've got some other interior door lamps. There's some lamps that go in the door. It hasn't shown the actual lamp module. Oh yes, it has. Again, this is off the earlier cars, so our new super bright LED modules will be able to fit on the Defender, which is cool. So for me, selling accessories, having this information is useful because I can see what bits we've already developed for the current vehicles that we'll be able to straight away fit onto the new Defender. Right, so there we go. Right, let's go and have a quick look. The rear lights fascinated me as well. So let's have a look at the rear light, because I wanted to improve. They've got these really small lights here, but it looks like this is all one big circuit here. So it might be possible to replace this with a whole new assembly or something, which might be quite fun. This rear number plate light is an old part. You can see by the part number that's shared from the Disco 5 and other models. So we've done some body electrics. We've looked. One thing I did notice, I was sniffing around in here earlier, and the infotainment system, upgrading infotainment systems is always fun to do. And if you look at it, they've got 2 systems: the family entertainment, which is where you've got it in all the rear headrests, and you've got some main control module under the seats. And then if I go back to this one here, so this is, and if I look, it's basically made up of 2 components, which is, and the screen is just a screen. Now I looked at this earlier. The screen literally is one screen across all models with this infotainment system in. But you'll notice that the amplifier, if you look here, they've got a 600 watt amplifier. They've got the standard one, which I don't know, and the 1200 watt. And the price for the amplifier doesn't differ greatly. So it looks like there's just a different amplifier depending on the system you want. And then when I looked at the speakers, if I go back to the body electrics and look at the speakers, it looks like all models have the same speakers. And I went through and I looked at them. So this is the bass system, and take the subwoofer. This ends here 5597, this part number here for the woofer. That's the same on the bass model. Hold on, my computer's having a moment. The 600 watt audio system has got 5597. And if I go to the 1200 watt system, the speaker is 5597. Also, for a woofer, is not expensive at £35.66. So it looks like they've got very similar speakers in all the models. It looks like the amp is the thing you could upgrade. And the screen all seem to be the same. So that is interesting. Right, let's dive back. There was something else. So that was the infotainment system. Oh yeah, the steering wheel was an interesting one. If I look at the steering, because the Defender steering wheel looks quite basic. So if I go, if I go back here and look at the steering wheel is quite basic, and they haven't. So this is the steering wheel, and they've got a few options here, but basically it's less heated, and then with heated. So you can see that and these are leather, and the top one is just a plastic steering wheel. So it's possible to upgrade possibly to heated. But I wondered if I could put an L405 steering wheel on here, and I think I can, because when I went back and looked at the steering column, if I look at the steering column here, this top part of the steering column, okay, this part number is quite an old part number. And if I look where that's used, let's have a look. Let's fire that back into the main system up here. Go back to the home screen. If I put that in there, the main steering column is used on the Range Rover, the big Range Rover L405, the Range Rover Sport, the Discovery 5. So if it's using the same steering column, there's a possibility that pretty much a certainty, you'll be able to use a steering wheel off an L405 or an L494, as long as the airbag fits. And we could look at the airbags even and see whether they're the same part number. But this is the sort of thing I'm going to do. But it's interesting just to have a look. If I can go back, just to have a look at the details of this new Defender, without having to take one apart or get our hands dirty. So there we go, a little introduction, some pictures there, some images of the new Defender. These are some of the body. This is going to be the main body shell. You can see there. And there's components you can repair. Roof. Body sides. So there we go. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do too much in terms of requests to show stuff. But hopefully that's given you an introduction to the new Defender and the electronics part catalogue from Land Rover. Enjoy.